This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
Hey, Ola, it's Miles. Thank you guys for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast.
Have you heard our newest podcast? It's called The Greatest Story Never Told.
Download it today on radio.com. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded every Tuesday at noon.
Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the Men's Room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the Men's Room.
And away we go. Welcome to season 16, episode number 3,450. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, the Ted Smith, and Mike Hawk. And the Men's Room. On tap today, it is a random question. Your guess is as good as mine. Categories: America's favorite pets and delicious donuts. We will play Profile This, plus headlines, Men's Room Shot of the Day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorite TV Time with Ted.
Clack, drinking a job.
All right, here we go. A dog walker in Missouri is stunned after seeing a, quote, ripped squirrel with huge nuts. Meanwhile, a man quits the comment section on Pornhub after finding real person to play with his putts. Florida woman tells police she's Harry Potter after running over people with her car. Neighbors find that one guy that 9 years ago used to come to the bar. And a Bud Light truck crashes, spilling 40,000 gallons of water on an interstate in Georgia. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, a model and aspiring actress just made $29.5 million. Unfortunately, she did not earn the money by modeling or acting. No, a jury awarded the money to her after she had an allergic reaction to a pretzel and then suffered brain damage and became a quadriplegic. That's not how I want to make millions, but she is a millionaire now. In Poland, a man lost his vision 20 years ago because he had a severe allergy. Now, did he get millions of dollars for his trouble? No, he did not. Instead, his blind ass was hit by a car in a crosswalk. Busted up his head, injured his hip, but there is a bright side because when he woke up in the hospital, he could see. That's huge. Sight is such a valuable sense. It allows us to enjoy things like, Miles, you brought it up, a squirrel with unusually large testicles. Now, I say this because a woman in Missouri, she recently posted a photo of a stunningly well-endowed squirrel that she spotted on a dog walk. It's on its hind legs, and its big, giant wrinkle purse is on full display, and the internet loves it. Who knew? People on the internet love squirrel testicles, but there you go. These are just some of the stories that we've come across, stories that left us with many questions we'd like to ask you in the form of a random question, and here's how it works. You call us, we ask you a question that completes random, And after you share your story, we'll share with you the news story that inspired said question.
Be a part of the big show on the Random Question. Call 206-421-ROCK. Like the Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, the Men's Room Live. And send those emails to the Men's Room at KISW.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
I'm Glennon Doyle, author of Untamed and host of the podcast We Can Do Hard Things. Each week, we talk openly and honestly about the hard things in life together with you. So join us and some of our dearest friends and greatest heroes to talk about anxiety, boundaries, parenting, infidelity, our bodies, loving and losing, all of the things that make us human. Listen to and follow We Can Do Hard Things on Odyssey and everywhere you get your podcasts.
The Men's Room returns with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Oh, the Charles, and away we go. Welcome to season 16, episode number 3,450. What a large and a charge program we have for you today. Guaranteed future repeat. That is a fact on this fine Monday. Exciting return of your guest as good as mine. You know, every day is a certain day. Any idea what yesterday was, guys? Do you know what day yesterday was?
Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday. It was, in fact, Sunday, yes. It was National Pet Day. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
You have pets. And I don't have pets.
I don't have a pet.
You two should have definitely known that. So what we have for you, in honor of that, is we have the top 10 pets that Americans love the most. All kinds of different pets.
10 different animals?
Yeah, pets.
I mean, I feel like you could get to 4 if you had like a bird and a fish in there along with a standard dog.
Maybe
After that, now it's just weird.
People have pets.
All right.
Okay, so we have America's 10 favorite pets. And then not too long ago, and I'm sure you guys know this too, because there's a theme here. It was National Donut Day.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Now that one I knew.
Now that was a thing that, a lot of free donuts offered that day.
Sure.
From the Krispy Kremes of the world. And Dunkin' Donuts and all that stuff. So we have 10 of America's favorite donuts. So you're going to go donuts or pets. Coming up on your guess is as good as mine.
Both are edible.
Those are choices.
Yeah, they are.
They are. Those are fine choices.
I feel like, you know what I mean? You should be able to kind of come close to at least 70 to 80% on this quiz. There's not a lot there. All right, today we'll do our random question 206-421-ROCK.
Random.
You have no excuse to suck today.
That's right.
Hello, Dave. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Well, hola, bitch, hola.
Hola! Dave, welcome to the program. Thank you for calling the random question. Might as well just do this one and get it over with, Dave. Why could you not stop staring, and what were you staring at?
Okay. Yeah, there's something that popped right to my mind. So,
right.
If you've been to Teatro Zanzani down in Seattle, so I went there with my ex-wife now. So she took me there as a present, and man, they do up the food. They do it up solid. I mean, so solid and really good entertainment. But let's just say that the uniforms of the people who are serving the tables are pretty revealing. And the lady who was taking care of our table kept bending over quite a bit right in front of me. And I thought I was being sly, but I was totally not being sly.
You're not being sly.
Are you wearing sunglasses at dinner, Dave?
No, not that. I thought I was just peeking. But oh my gosh, man, she was she was a smoke show. And I got busted hardcore. She's like, my ex-wife said, do you want to take a picture? And I'm like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do, but that would be weird.
It never goes the other way, though.
But listen, I mean, look, there's always the debate about, someone dressing scantily clad. It's like, of course I'm going to look because you're choosing to show that. And I assume things that if there's something that people don't want you to see, typically you hide that thing, right?
Yes.
If you have a big dildo sitting on your coffee table, but your buddy's coming over, my guess is you probably put it away. If you don't want people to, I don't know, stare at your penis, you don't walk around with your fly open and your D hanging out. I mean, like, if I'm showing you this, then I'm okay, at least, for you to look at it.
Yes. But Dave also mentioned he's divorced now, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, very.
All right.
And she got a really good tip. I mean, I tipped well, so.
That's part of the whole thing. Of course you did, man. I got busted. We were in Florida, and I cannot explain how hot this chick was. And even though she wasn't walking in slow motion, it's like she was walking in slow motion across the beach. But I got mirrored shades on, right? So I'm checking her out. I mean, I could not look at this woman. She was stunning. My wife's splashing around the ocean, no big deal. When my wife gets out of the water, and she's walking back to our little umbrella, and she said, look, ma'am, I know you're checking out this chick. I'm like, what are you talking about? She said, dude, the book in your hand? I'm like, yeah. She's like, it's upside down. I'm like, oh, okay. Yep. That was pretty obvious.
Took my kids to the Woodland Park Zoo. Woodland Park Zoo for a neighborhood zoo is fantastic. It really is.
Great.
It's awesome. And they through the years, they've had a number of different animals come and go. They used to have a couple elephants in there. And
herpes elephants?
Yeah, just stuff that was,
Didn't they get herpes? Was it herpes?
Sure.
I feel like elephants got herpes, or maybe they got herpes after Oklahoma City took them.
Something happened to them where they found a better place for them.
Did they?
Right, exactly.
Did they?
Then they
died.
Then they died. But I mean, there's all kinds of cool animals from all around the world. The Woodland Park Zoo.
I mean, it's a zoo. Yeah.
And the one thing that people have dogs. Dogs are all over the place. They had a pack of dogs in there, right? Mm-hmm. Just dogs. You know what I mean? Like a bird flies overhead. You know, you're like, okay, there's a bird. They're dogs. The size of these dogs' testicles was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I stood there and I watched these dogs.
Because they just run.
And they just run around. And they're not really testicles. We've already been told.
We found out later that they're not testicles. These were the females, but their ovaries hang out of the back. Yeah. So what's weird is, Miles had gone to the zoo. This is years ago. But he comes into work and he goes, dude, you got to see these dogs at the Woodland Park Zoo. They have these testicles you can't believe. I'm like,
I didn't talk about the giraffes, right, or the elephants,
nothing,
or any of the stuff.
I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Maybe a year goes by. I take my kids to the zoo. I'm not even thinking about these dogs, and then we're walking up to that enclosure, and they're running in a circle, and I'm like, God damn, he was right. I cannot stop staring at these.
It's
they
unbelievable.
Are massive.
They had to pull me away from the exhibit. I was just like, look at that. That is insane. It was crazy. It was the favorite part of the trip.
And then they're not even testicles.
But I was going to say, but they're not testicles.
I know
but
that.
That makes it even crazier. Okay, look at the size of her ovaries.
Fake boobs aren't boobs, but they're boobs.
Right.
You know, close enough. It looks like that. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but women have boobs.
Right. Yeah.
Look, Ted,
these dogs,
I know that
I get what they
ovaries,
look like. I'm just saying,
but,
it's still like, I can't believe the size of them.
Some guys have boobs.
Because they're huge. Right. They look uncomfortable. I mean, it really does, man.
I've got boobs. Some guys have boobs. These women have huge testicles.
They do. I know they're ovaries.
Amazing. It's unbelievable.
That's not what they look like. Like, look, man, if you have a one-night stand with this really hot chick and she pulls on her pants and you're like, oh, my God, she has a penis. And she says, it's not a penis. I just have an unusually large clitoris. Like, you still don't feel better.
Sure. I've got one.
You're still a little wigged out.
One guy that we worked with.
Yeah, but I'm going to call it a penis.
One guy
but it's not.
We worked this one guy for a number of years, and I worked with him for about a decade altogether. And he's a great guy, man. But when you talk to him physically, and he's talking to you, he's got a lazy eye. And as you're looking at him in the face, the one eye starts...
Is this the morning show host? Yeah.
Yes. It starts to go toward the middle of his nose, okay? But you can't help but follow it. Because you're looking someone in the eye, and then you're like, you want to go and look over to the side because you think he is like, is someone coming in here? But you can't stop looking at just the one eye.
But it never stops happening.
No, it's always...
Because it'll slowly swing back toward you. You know what I mean? It's kind of...
It's like a revolving door. You know
it's like a self-closing door kind of thing, right? And you can open it, and then slowly it comes back.
I can't stop looking at it. Oh,
and this guy, he was a very nice guy, and he did a morning show on a very nice family kind of radio station, and he had a very sweet wife. I believe they did the show together. And at one point, we're talking to this very nice guy, and he's an oakley-dokley fella.
He's actually the guy that married the girl he babysat for.
Yeah, that's the thing. We said, how'd you meet your wife? Oh, I used to be her babysitter. And it just changed my opinion completely. I'm like, dude, I'm not okay.
Wow, you've been on this for a while.
That's crazy.
Put in the work.
Right.
Yeah.
Reese asked, why could you not stop staring? A dog walker in the U.S. did a double take when she came across a remarkably endowed squirrel. Sarah Linsenhuber was walking her pooch outside her apartment in Missouri last week when she crossed paths with the hung rodent. Naturally, she grabbed a picture of the sexy squirrel, posted it to Facebook.
I don't know that it's sexy.
Sarah said, I saw him walking my dog, did a double take, then doubled over laughing. I wasn't sure if I should post it anywhere, but then my grade school sense of humor got the best of me. The squirrel scrotum was a huge hit. His bees are bigger than my partner's, one person said. Another comment, wow, he's got quite the stockpile of nuts for the winter. It is sad that I am jealous, said one reader. One person observed, dude, not only is he endowed, he's ripped. Look at those pecs. This squirrel is jacked.
Is. I mean, it would be like if The Rock had testicles the size of watermelons. To put it in the scale, they would have to be about that big. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at this picture and you realize, I can't stop staring at this squirrel's testicles. This is ridiculous, but if you come and Google it, when you come across this picture, you too are going to find you probably wasted 5 minutes going, oh my God, look at this thing, man.
He's huge, Jack.
He's like ripped, and it's like he's like, check him out.
He's got like kangaroo muscles. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Do you think that in the squirrel world, like the female squirrels look at him and say, like, that's the guy, right?
Yeah.
He has like the beach body. He's obviously well endowed. So if you're a female squirrel, you like, man, I love that Jeffrey. That's
all right, they're going nuts over him.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. Hello, Aaron. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola. Aaron, welcome to the program. Random question. Let's see what we have for you. Okay, Aaron. What did you sneak into? Or where have you been that you maybe weren't supposed to be? But where did you sneak into?
I stuck into parties that I wasn't invited to. I don't know if that really counts.
Sure it does.
Well, if you weren't invited, it does.
Did anyone ask who you knew?
Yeah, lots of people. Oh, I also went to a wedding that I wasn't invited to.
Why?
I think that's
Why would you go to a wedding?
They said there was a wedding and there was an open bar, so I went.
Were you already at the location where this is happening, or did you jump in a car, put on a suit, and do this?
No, it was in my neighborhood, and I just saw it, and there was like, oh, so-and-so's wedding, open bar. And I'm like, open bar, I'm there.
So you said this wedding.
Did you know the neighbors?
I did no. I like saw them once, like at the park, but that was about it.
So, when you got to the reception, you took advantage of this open bar, which I'm not against. I like your style, man. Did anybody approach you like, are you a friend of the bride or groom? Since that's always a question.
Yeah, I kept saying that I was like, the fourth cousin or some crap like that. I don't know. Okay. I was pretty drunk.
How drunk did you get?
Oh, I got really drunk. It took me a long time to kind of like learn my limits with alcohol, and this was before that time, so I got like totally smashed.
All right, okay. See, I think that even if it was an open bar, I would need to be invited to the wedding, because if not, you're not going to drag me to a wedding. It's just that would be the one place, no matter what, like, dude, you can get a free salmon dinner.
But here's the
free
difference.
bar. I'd be like, man, it's a wedding.
This is in his neighborhood, right?
I know.
I would not just go to a wedding I'm not invited to, but you say open bar. I go, maybe. But then you say, hey, man, it's your neighbor. I don't know, block away. Like, you know what, man? We can just walk there. It's one block. I'm going to drink their booze.
If it's at somebody's house and it's free booze and free food, you don't even have to be in a suit.
Absolutely.
All right.
You know what?
Well, with that said, I don't know that I would crash a wedding just because somebody's paying for it.
I mean, I might just for the open bar. And Miles, before you say anything, we went to that landscaping convention.
It wasn't a wedding.
It wasn't a wedding. We weren't invited.
I will sneak into a lot of things. I just like, even if you invited me to the wedding and be like, all right. You know what I mean? It's just not like, okay, I go to the damn.
But I get open bar. Like,
yeah, I get that too. But I expect that.
But at the convention thing, like, these people were as dull as you could possibly be. Mm-hmm. And even the bartender said, hey, this is what's going on. We're about to leave. And then finally he just said, there is an open bar. And Miles and I stopped dead in our tracks. And we kind of made eyes with the bartender. And he understood what was going on. So he said, look, you can grab a name tag, write what you want. But I never spoke to him. I said, cool. And we went back there and drank all their crap.
My buddy Scott, he's got a little plan on all this stuff. He had a flurry of friends getting married in their 30s, that kind of thing. And he's like, look, man, I learned on my second one from a buddy of mine. He's like, we go to the bar across the street. Mm-hmm. Or anywhere close to where the church or the reception's going to be. He's like, trust me. You just go to the reception. You go to the bar beforehand. The people involved in the wedding are so busy. It's such a crazy flurry.
Right.
They see the people on the inside of the aisles for the most part. The bride and the groom are not facing a lot of the time.
Right, they're not
the people in the congregation. So he's like, no one knows. He's like, I've done this like 5 or 6 times. He's like, I've never actually gone.
Just skipping the ceremony?
Just skip the ceremony and then go to the reception and have a blast.
Hey, Mike, would you be offended if we skip your ceremony?
No.
I mean, I love you, man.
Yeah.
Fiance's great. We wish you all the best of luck, but really what we want to do is drink with you.
I almost expect it.
Okay. All right. This is an awesome story. I'm not sure what level this guy should be put on, but he is my hero.
That's right.
And it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing how this guy got busted. One man recently had a heck of a time as an unintentional honorary member of the USC Trojan football team. The LA Daily News
this one's awesome.
reported the story during this week and has some alternating details, but one version of the story says the man expressed that he wanted to be a member of the football team, was going to try to walk on, and was able to participate in practice until someone asked who he was. Then security was called and the guy was kicked out. The follow-up story says that the imposter, also described as a homeless man, was acting like a full member of the USC football team. He reportedly shared a jacuzzi with players, ate at the football dining facility without issue, and slept at a suite in the Coliseum. There was only an issue when the man got suited up and tried to catch punts at football practice. Apparently, whatever he was doing was so bad. I go through this in my head a million times because that to me doesn't seem like the biggest deal in the world.
But if you haven't played and you got to go out there and field a punt,
punts are different than a pass.
Believe it or not, the coaching staff says the man may have been able to gain access to areas that typically would have had more security measures because of the pandemic. But either way, the guy was pretty athletic. Like, they, honest to God, like, they are still thinking about giving this guy a shot as a walk-on. The problem is he's not enrolled at the university because he's a homeless guy. So
wait, I thought you said when he fielded the punt, they were like, oh, this isn't right.
They did, and they kicked him out. But now
they have to kick him out.
They're like, well, it wasn't that he wasn't athletic. I mean, he was muscular, he was fast, he just didn't have any football skills.
And he's not at the school.
So typically,
that's a big problem.
That's the main problem.
Yes. More of the random question coming up, 206-421-ROCK.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
Your home equity. It could be an untapped opportunity instead of an untouchable asset. Introducing HomeTap. HomeTap is an investor, not a lender. They give you cash in exchange for a share of your home's future value. Use it to pay off debt, make renovations, fund a business, or just live a better life. There's no interest or monthly payments to worry about. HomeTap. Get more from home ownership. Get more from life. Subject to eligibility, terms and conditions apply. Visit HomeTap.com to apply in minutes. That's HomeTap.com.
99.9 KISW and KISW HD1 Seattle. An Odyssey station. Yeah. You're in the men's room.
Random question, 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Don. Welcome to the men's room.
Random.
Hola, vato.
Hola. Don, welcome to the program. Random question. That's who we have for the Don man. All right, Don, how about this one? What would you say was the most ridiculous way that you got from point A to point B? Transportation speaking.
You know what I mean? You stuff 15 buddies into a car.
Not 4 hits of acid. You see what I'm saying? This is like a Greyhound bus ride, living in the trunk, something like that.
Actually, back in 1970, I don't know if you guys ever saw them, but the U.S. Postal Office used to have these little 3-wheeled mail carts.
Oh, yeah.
They had a 2-cylinder engine in it with a 3-speed Studebaker trans. I picked one up for $150. You could pop wheelies in them and stuff. It was pretty cool until I rolled it.
Does that look like, Don, I don't know if you're downtown ever, but there's like a 3-wheeled parking enforcement vehicle. It's kind of like it's in a box. You know what I mean? It's kind of similar to that.
Yeah, but about 1.5 feet wider.
Okay.
I guess they had to widen them all because the people would try and pull into driveways and they'd tip them over.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so...
But it was kind of cool.
I mean, I know there's street legal if I'm caring for the U.S. Postal Service, but now that you've bought it secondhand, can you still legally drive that thing on the street?
Oh, yeah, I drove it to high school. you know.
Wait, that was your high school ride?
Typically.
Well, for about 6 months.
I mean, did people think it was awesome, or did people laugh, or what was the reaction when you rolled up in that thing?
Pretty much both. They said it figured. They said it kind of fit me.
Yeah. I know my grandfather, he was a mailman, and I want to say that he had his first truck for 28 years. He was in the Postal Service for 35.
Did he have a truck or Jeep?
The Jeep thing. Okay. But I mean, it was the same truck, and like when they got rid of it, it was like a big deal for him because that was like the first truck that he ever had, and it was his truck, you know what I mean? So he would bring it home every once in a while and all that, but he had like 400 and some thousand miles on it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which is insane. It's just like it's a tank. So that's what I'm wondering, if you hadn't wrecked the damn thing, you still might own it based on the fact that they seem to make those things to not quit, you know?
Well, yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with the 2-cylinder Onan engine. They used them in welders and stuff like that with the Studebaker transmission. But, like, downhill with the tailwind, top speed was like 45 miles an hour, but you also got about 60 miles to the gallon.
Yeah. Sounds like a 50cc ride, you know? Mm-hmm. They can pull a little bit more. I think the pink van was a bad one for me. I've ridden in trunks before, but a Greyhound bus trip back from seeing my dad, who was in Lexington, Kentucky, to Morgantown, West Virginia, that took about, I want to say it was either 8.5 or 10 hours.
That's about right, yeah.
So it was just, and as a kid, you don't know where you are. Mm-hmm. You really don't have a chance to ask like a grown up, like,
well, you got to do it as a kid.
You know what I mean? Like you just sitting in a seat, like it just seems like forever.
It feels like forever, and it is. But I feel like Greyhound's even worse as an adult, only because you truly understand the sea of humanity around you. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? You're as broke as they are, so it's not that. But, like, just because you're broke and have to take a Greyhound does not mean you also have to be crazy and or weird. Like, can't you just be broke and quiet? Well, no, Ted, you can't. Not on Greyhound. I learned a lot. There's something different about Greyhound. I don't know what it is.
I think it's just a matter of traveling, right? Like, if we're all sitting outside at somebody's house barbecuing, right? Show up at 2, leave at 8. 6 hours, right?
No big deal. And time flew by.
Right, but when you're on that plane going across the country, it's like, this is the longest 6 hours of my damn life.
Also, people
that's comfortable with, like, beverages and a movie.
I mean, look, flying back from, Dublin, I guess. When I went to Europe, but the layovers in Dublin, and then it's direct, which I appreciate, Dublin to SeaTac. It's, 9.5 hours or something? I think we basically took the same flight, right?
Yeah, mine was,
London.
Right. But coming back to Seattle was like 11.
Right, because you're going against the jet stream. It is, and it's one of those things where I don't really sleep on planes much, but the older I've gotten, I found I can fall asleep anywhere. You fall asleep, and you wake up, you check that little map to see where you're at, and I'm like, apparently I've been asleep for 15 minutes.
Would it be easier?
We are not
wouldn't it be easier?
I did the same thing, and I am not usually a plane sleeper, but, I fell asleep very quickly, and then it's almost startling, too, because you check where you're at. It's like, we're just over the ocean.
Yeah, and it's annoying, man, because then you get in a bad mood because you're like, man, I feel like I've been asleep for 8 hours, and you're telling me there's still 9 hours left on the flight.
Don't you think it would be smarter to blow the pole on top? So, in other words, just go straight toward the North Pole, make a left, let the rotation of the Earth kind of bring you back to Seattle.
Well, they kind of do.
Yeah,
they kind of do for that flight, right. They they do like a big rainbow, kind of not quite to the North Pole, but they head up. And, it cuts down on time. And I know it does. And I appreciate it. But it's like, this is still a long-ass flight. My father, man, when he was in the Navy, this is so stupid, all right? So he's in the Navy, and this is, the early 60s. And at the early 60s, the Bermuda Triangle is like a thing. You know, people are still freaking out. No one knows what happens there, blah, blah, blah. Well, he's stationed in Nova Scotia, Canada. And every day, at least 5 days a week, what they had to do, he and his crew, maybe 6 dudes, got on some big-ass plane. And he said it's a 13-hour round trip. And understand, all you did was get on a plane, fly for 13 hours, pretty much windowless, and then when you land, you're back in Nova Scotia. But they flew through the Bermuda Triangle each day, quote-unquote, to see if they would disappear. So my father's perspective, he said there's 2 things. One, it's every time we flew this mission, we wanted to fail. Like, nobody wanted a success, because that means we disappeared. He's like, it was stupid, but that was our thing. And the other thing was, he's like, if anything ever went wrong with the plane, we hoped it was when we got to Bermuda. Because then we got because he said, look, man, we have to parachute in the Caribbean, and the way they had it set up, it would take 2 weeks for them to bother to come down and get them. He's like, nothing went wrong. We never disappeared. But he's like, every day, 13 hours a day, sitting in basically the cargo hold of a plane to see if you disappear and no one can trace you.
The reason we asked what was the most ridiculous way he got from point A to point B, a Florida man was arrested after a motorcycle accident that critically injured his infant stepdaughter. According to the Clearwater Police Department, Don Charles Stanley was charged with neglect of a child with great bodily harm. Authorities say that on Thursday night, when the crash occurred, he drove through a stop sign. His 1-year-old stepdaughter was allegedly riding in his lap at the time. She was taken to Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital in critical condition, but hopefully she's going to be able to pull out of that. But my God.
Dude, try to go to Mexico as much as I can. COVID has prevented that. But I was there like 2 years ago and go about once a year. And every year I'm there, in spite of knowing what I'm going to see on the roads, it blows my mind every time, all right? So they don't have as many restrictions about driving, and this is not a good thing, right? So we have seatbelts. You can't ride on your motorcycle with your infant in your lap. Well, you can there. And the most people I've seen on a motorcycle, it was a family of 5. They are on one motorcycle, and they're still going like 40 freaking miles an hour. So dad's driving, little kid sitting on his lap. A slightly older kid is sandwiched between him and his wife, who is sitting behind him, but kind of crazy. And then the 5th kid, who's maybe like 10 years old, is standing at the back of the motorcycle just holding on. But you can tell they do this every day. And they zip by. It does not matter. They don't care what you do with their kids. They're like, look, your family, you don't like your kids, then go ahead and do this. Like here, it's a treat if you could, as a kid, ride back in the pickup truck. No more. Man, nope, the entire family. Grandma's back there. There's like 8 kids just roaring down a freeway, man. You know what I mean? Zipping in and out of traffic. And you just keep waiting for people to explode.
Sometimes I even see like a dog in the back of a truck, like with his legs up on the wheel well. He like propped up and like, you be careful there, buddy.
They don't care. We saw a guy with a tractor tire, not like a full-blown tractor tire, but a very, very large tire. He's on a motorcycle, and there's 2 of them, and they have like one bungee cord that's holding this thing on, and one guy's just kind of holding it. And they're doing like 70. And I'm always like, I cannot believe more people do not die on the roads down here.
Mm-hmm. That is fact.
Dude, they do not care. You just, if you have one vehicle and you got a family of 5, all 5, it doesn't matter the vehicle, you figure out a way. All the time, everywhere. Hello, Jess. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola. Jess, welcome to the program. Random question. All right, Jess, I think you can do this one. What would you say, Jess, is something that you used to do as a teenager today that a teenager right now would not be able to figure out or understand what you're talking about? So
gosh.
Maybe it's technology. Maybe it's just the way things were. But what did you used to do then that if you tried to explain it, people would be like, what?
Well, I mean, I'll be 36 here in less than 2 months. So I know back when being able to burn your own mix CDs was really popular, and having like, what was it, WinMX or Napster, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I guess that's probably like the best example I can think of off the top of my head.
That's not bad. Because you could fry your parents' computer if you downloaded the wrong thing on that.
Yeah, and I think their perspective would be, so you had to burn a playlist? Right now, if you want a quote-unquote mixtape, you just make a playlist. Done, right?
But back in the day, you could make a cassette mixtape. So if you had a double cassette deck,
quit bragging.
You could hook it up and make your own crazy mix.
I did.
Yeah.
I got
Did you ever
a girl
do the one where you
mixtape.
had like somebody else had better CDs than you had? So you could take them, you could borrow them for a couple of days and then burn them onto a tape. So now you had them.
Mm-hmm. Right? Oh, yeah, that was the way. Even all the FBI warnings, like, hey, FBI, I have news for you. Everybody was doing it. Every single person on Earth.
Right, because like downloading music, that was a massive deal.
That was huge.
We never liked Napster. We were always about, I think, LimeWire.
Yeah. God, I remember the name. I never used any of them. I knew what Napster was, and then the Metallica thing, and the artists they popped up. But what was crazy about Napster?
That's what really shut it down, though, for everybody. It was the whole Metallica is doing like a forward.
And I understand their position, but you realize Napster is what led to Apple Music. Because think about it. Apple was making computers, and Apple had zero interest in getting in the music game. There was no entry to do it. There was no purpose to do it, right? But when Napster got shut down, the entire record industry, and I cannot believe they did this, the entire said, no, we're not doing this. Even though the audience made it very, very clear, hey, we prefer to get our music this way. Now, I understand you shut down Napster. Anyone forward-thinking would say, hey, guys, here's a business model that our audience already likes. We're Warner Brothers Music or we're Sony. We have the money to do it. Instead, they said, no, you can only buy CDs. So then Apple came along and said, well, people want to download music, do it here. And now Apple basically owns the music industry.
Yep.
I mean, even the record labels have to deal with Apple if you really want distribution. And the thing is, it was sitting in your lap. You're already the industry, and not one of you had the presence of mind to say, people like this. But Apple did, who's not even in your game, and now Apple owns your ass.
Well, it got music into people's hands.
That's it.
Right?
Because people, that's what they wanted.
Especially if you had bands that were like across countries or this or that, or maybe genres you didn't listen to much.
Absolutely.
That you weren't going to hear, like, on radio, like, that's where you could go listen to it.
And now, I mean, you look at it now.
And you could hear the curse words.
Oh, man, that's a big difference.
My buddy Craig worked at the movie theater, and he was the manager of the movie theater. He was the guy who would let us go in at midnight, and we'd get the used cups and wash them out, because that's how they counted, so, he wouldn't get stuck on inventory or any of that stuff. It's a soda machine, so who cares? But popcorn, same way. But he would also set up a tripod with a camcorder in the movie theater, all right, and then he would tape the movie. So, like, if you ever had a burned copy of, like, a bootleg movie that was out in the movie theater, typically it's a pretty good copy. It's not the worst in the world. This was garbage. Like, this was, the microphone on the camera was picking up the overall sound, and it wasn't that bad, but sometimes the movie theater gets kind of loud. It would overwhelm it, you know what I mean? But he'd sell them for, like, $5. Whatever the first run movies that he knew that he could make money off. So he would bring them home. And I'd be like, dude, I'd just rather go to the movie theater that I can get into for free at midnight and watch these movies, but he would sell them for like $5, and you look at the quality. He kept getting better at it. You know what I mean? Like, that was the thing.
And burned CDs, too, like, I remember I had friends that would sell them, right?
Yeah.
But the guys that were really good at it would, like, print out, like, the artwork, too.
Oh, yeah.
Everything.
And put it in there. So it was
he
like...
didn't do that.
It was a burned CD, but it was like, I appreciate the effort here.
Good enough.
Reason we asked what's something that you used to do that a teenager today would not be able to understand. By the way, teenagers today were born between 2001 and 2008. So, depending on how old you are, everyone's childhood changes to some degree. But now on Reddit, a discussion group is sharing some things that they used to do as teenagers that teenagers today would not be understand. And here's some of the better ones. Watching the scrambled Playboy channel.
Oh, yeah.
So,
can you believe how much time we invested watching, like, the negative effect, half scrambled, but even though, like, the boobs you saw were gray, because, again, it's like a black and white photo and negative, you didn't care.
But the volume, the audio was still fine.
Yeah.
So even though you really couldn't see what was going on, you could definitely, if there was any plot, Jesus, you could hear some things.
You could figure out what was going on, but watching the Playboy channel with the scramble was like the magic eye.
Yeah.
Just keep staring at it, and eventually you'll figure out what's going on.
A couple other things that teenagers would not be able to understand from your childhood. Turning the channel to Channel 3 to be able to switch and play a video game.
God, yeah.
Channel 3 was the channel. Stopping at a gas station, not necessarily for gas, but to ask the gas station attendant for directions. Because you don't know where you are. You know you're close, but you don't know where you are. So you always stop at the gas station. Ask the guy at the gas station where you're going.
It's so weird now. People don't understand, like, how hard it was to find parties.
Oh, yeah, man. You didn't know.
Loving the smell of that ink on a copy machine when you would take a test.
The dittos or something like that.
It would give you a buzz if you smelled it.
A teacher, this is every class, right? So the kids are sat in the front. Take one, pass it back. Then they'd follow that with, and don't sniff the dittos. And all you heard was, dude, it was every single class. Stop smelling, you're huffing chemicals.
How about this? There used to be a phone number. It was a standard phone number in every community where you could call this number. They would give you the time and the temperature.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes they would give you the forecast. I know I used to starting on radio when I was like 16, 17 years old. You like call and they go like, First Mariner time is, then, 3:09. Temperature is 55 degrees. And you're like...
And you would actually call.
Okay, but then I would use that on the air. So it's like at 55 degrees. You said, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? 3:09.
Right.
So
we sound like we know what we're talking about.
We had a dial clock in the studio. Sometimes you just had to make sure the damn thing was right. Getting off the phone so that someone in your home could use the internet.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Calling a phone number and having to ask the person that answered if the person that you wanted to talk to was there and present. Because it was a universal phone for everybody.
But see, I think that had a lot to do with teaching manners, right? Because you call your buddy, you're 15 years old. Well, if his dad picks up the phone, you have a much different way you present. Oh, hello, Mr. So-and-so. Is Mike there, right? If Mike answers the phone, what up, Playboy? But you didn't do that when their mom or dad. So, but also when people called your house, right? Someone calls my phone. One, I know who it is because their name's there. So I won't say my one buddy. There's a term we call each other. I'm going to say.
Right.
But if he called my house when I lived with my parents and we still had dial, he would not say that.
Sure.
You don't know who's going to answer.
I called my buddy. I wanted his older sister to answer the phone every time, just so I could talk to her. Because I knew if I was there at his house, she wouldn't give me the time of day. But she was older and better looking and all that stuff. But I knew I could get like 20 seconds. Like, hi, Laura. How are you today?
I know, it's a little thing.
How you doing?
It's your scrambled Playboy channel.
How's school? Is your brother home? I'll check. Okay.
Take your time.
Yeah. She'd come back and like, he's here, you want to talk to him? Do you like movies? Oh, let's see. Cleaning the mouse ball on your track there.
Oh, yeah, they don't even have mouse balls anymore.
Ball in there.
I don't know why I checked.
Mouse, got to lift them, look underneath.
Spending at least 15 minutes untwisting a phone cord was another. And recording songs from the radio using a tape recorder so you could play them later. Unfortunately, the DJ would talk all over the top of the music, so the recording would not be the entire song. You definitely get an introduction on that, but it was free music and you took it.
Some people here say cutting the grass. Oh, Jesus, wait. Waiting to make calls after 9 because the minutes were unlimited.
Yep.
That used to get a lot cheaper. Someone else says using dial-up for the internet and needing to use the phone at the same time as someone else, only having a landline. Someone else says, falling asleep on the couch, waking up at 3 a.m. to Girls Gone Wild on MTV.
Or falling asleep on the couch and hearing the Star Spangled Banner, the national anthem. Whatever.
Oh, right. We're shutting down.
And then the television show would go off, and then you'd have this colored blue, like red, blue, green bar television.
Yeah, the test screen.
Like that would wake your ass up. And the other thing I do remember for a fact, and this is crazy, I don't know if there's any truth to this, but this was just the way it ran. If I was in the bathtub or on the phone and a thunderstorm was coming in, I had to get out of the bathtub immediately and hang up the phone or whatever I was doing.
You gotta get electrocuted.
You couldn't be on the phone during a thunderstorm, and you could not be in the bathtub during a thunderstorm. Out immediately.
Someone here makes a solid point. Says most kids who played Madden, and they love Madden, no idea who John Madden is.
No, sure.
No concept.
George Foreman. We could go on and on
the
about
Foreman
this.
Grill.
Oh, that subject.
Regarding Napster, someone says they weren't suing to stop digital music, but the bootlegged digital music, and that is the truth. Someone else says, my brother-in-law, he got criminally charged for the Napster stuff.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah, because I
never used Napster.
I never used it, but again, I'm not tech savvy, and for me, I was still hunting for vinyl at the time, and at that time you couldn't find it because CDs were all the rage.
Yeah.
I always hated CDs, so Napster never appealed to me. But I remember when all this stuff went down, and you just heard these massive criminal charges, and it blew my mind, because in my mind, bootlegs were still the dude who took a mini cassette recorder to whatever concert and gave you some garbage recording of the band you saw, right?
Right. Oh, God. I still remember, I just got my music for free at work. And in classic rock back then, there was always just a new album out from a classic rock artist that, they'd been away for a while. So, you get like in 1997, I got the brand new Jethro Tull. By the way, that sucked. You take it to
they won a Grammy.
You take it to the record store and try to sell it back, and they'd be like, nobody's going to buy this.
Right.
Well, I got the crappiest free music in the world.
That's why it was free.
Right. It's like, we're working on a new album. It's like, don't Slaughter. We'll just stick to your classics. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be that's the equivalent of like a Mark Slaughter put out a new one now. Be like on my desk the next day, like, give it a listen. Like, I don't think so.
I'm not going to do that.
I'm done with this one.
More of the random question coming up. 206-421-ROCK.